Kazuma Kiryu has been through a lot in his life. From a street-level criminal framed for murder to one of the most important members in the history of the Yakuza, the man was finally able to earn the bittersweet ending he got in Yakuza 6. But just because the series has a new main character doesn't mean Ryuga Gotoku Studios is done with Kiryu. With Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth on the horizon looking to maybe actually bring his story to an end, Sega is giving us a smaller entry that exists to fill in the gaps while giving the man who started it all one last adventure with him as the sole lead. But how successfully does it honor the Dragon of Dojima? Find out in GameXplain's review of Like a Dragon, The Man Who Erased His Name. Taking place concurrently with 2020's Yakuza Like a Dragon, Kiryu has been spending the years since he faked his death on a short leash, living in a temple under a new name and working for the government whenever an important job comes around. However, after an operation goes wrong and someone recognizes him, Kiryu's life is sent spiraling back down towards the dirty streets of the criminal underworld. The story of Gaiden can be wonky at times. While I do think it's good, there are occasional moments where the story can feel contrived and convenient. Characters break the rules of their organization and seemingly go unpunished. Conclusions would be made despite not having convincing enough evidence. All of this can make certain moments feel like cheap melodrama. Nonetheless, what problems I have with the story mostly reside either in the beginning or in the connective tissue between plot points. No matter how many moments I feel like I thought about the story more than the writers did, I still found myself entertained and engaged by the narrative thanks to good characters, solid theming that works itself all throughout the game, and an incredible performance by Takuya Kuroda. The final scene before the credits is easily my favorite Kiryu scene in the entire series, and so much of it is because of Kuroda's acting. In a lot of ways, The Man Who Erased His Name feels like a celebration of the franchise. Fan service is tastefully and justifiably woven into the plot and side activities while never feeling self-indulgent. There are numerous callbacks to past stories, taking events and building upon them or using them to inform the events of this game. Whether you've played every game in the series or you've only played Judgment, there is something here that makes you feel rewarded for being a fan. One of the best things this story does is better explore one of the bigger plot twists in Yakuza 7 that I always felt didn't receive enough attention. And it's because of how much Gaiden complements that game that I actually feel compelled to recommend beating it first. While you can play them in whatever order, Gaiden will casually spoil various late game plot points as early as Chapter 2. The gameplay of The Man Who Erased His Name is your standard Yakuza fare. You run around the district, collecting items, fighting enemies, and doing sub-stories. All of this ties back into the Akame network, which kind of acts as a unifier across all of the side activities. By completing objectives around the map, you'll receive points which you can then use to buy items, unlock new combat moves, and upgrade your base stats. The home base of the Akame network is also where you're going to go to access the proper sub-stories. While this system does alleviate the problem of sub-stories interrupting normal gameplay, I do miss the charm of stumbling upon these in the wild. Gaiden in particular has some truly memorable side quests, and I feel like if I had stumbled upon them as opposed to picking them off of a list, it would have made for some of my favorite experiences I've had with the series. In combat, Kiryu has access to two styles. The Yakuza style, which is the standard dragon moveset he's had in every game, and the brand new Agent style, which focuses on using quick strikes with various gadgets. Yakuza style is as fantastic as it's ever been, but the new gadget-focused one really took some getting used to. The way you activate each gadget is by holding down one of the 4 face buttons. While you'd think it'd feel as natural as ending a combo with a charge attack, most of these gadgets don't work themselves into combat that well, and instead work best while moving around, avoiding enemies. Once I got the hang of it, I actually really enjoyed how unique and different Agent style was. However, I do wish the gadgets worked better with the flow of combat. Much like with any Yakuza game, the side activities will be making up the bulk of your playtime. While there are new things to do, for the most part, everything you find in Like a Dragon Gaiden returns from past games, either as is or with a new coat of paint. Pocket circuit racing is as fun as ever and remains a massive time sink. The Cabaret Club comes equipped with live-action footage of a real-life VTuber this time around and is as awkwardly hilarious as it's ever been. Sega Arcade and Master System games are still a joy to play around with, and all of the gambling mini-games are here like always. The big new side activity this time around is the Coliseum. Here you'll be fighting in a number of combat challenges either alone or with a party of characters you can recruit and train. While it might seem like this Coliseum is the same as the ones from previous games, the two biggest differences are in customization and the fighters you recruit. Much like the Hostesses and Cabaret Club minigames of the past, you can customize Kiryu's looks both inside and outside of the Coliseum, letting you make him look as cool or as ridiculous as you want. As for recruitable fighters, not only can you train them and bring them into battle, but you can even play as them. Any of them. And they have different movesets. They're nowhere near as in-depth as Kiryu's, but the fact that you can play as basically anyone you want is a ton of fun. If anything, I'd say the main problem with the Coliseum is that certain parts of the main story require you to reach certain rankings within it in order to progress. There's no real story justification, and it feels like it exists more to just pad the game out. Compared to other games in the series, Gaiden is actually on the shorter end. I was able to beat it in around 15 or so hours, and that was with a healthy amount of goofing around doing side stuff. However, I think it actually benefits somewhat for it. Like I said before, there are some plot points that feel rushed, likely as a result of the shorter playtime, but I think it also led to a tighter experience overall. When the writing was working for me, everything flowed with an excellent pace that kept me invested and excited to see what was going to happen next. The side activities are mostly reused from past games, but practically all of them are fan favorites. Combat is as good as it's ever been while not being afraid to get experimental. Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name is a game I liked a lot, and I can't wait to see diehard fans of this series experience a game that feels tailor-made for them. The final scene before the credits alone is reason enough for them to play this. And once it's all said and done, not only will you be primed and ready for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, but you'll also unlock a demo that lets you get a taste of it now. Thank you for watching our review of Like a Dragon Gaiden. Let us know what you think of it in the comments down below, and while you're there, subscribe and hit the bell for more Like a Dragon and everything else RGG Studios.